My wife will tell you that I hate being late for anything, with one exception. I strongly desire to be late for the grave with my name on it. Now, when I say the word grave, you may bring to mind a vision of a nighttime cemetery with a full moon, wispy clouds passing across the great horned owl in the bare oak tree, maybe a wolf howling in the distance. Eerie, right? But it's not like that. That's the Hollywood version. As a former gravedigger, I can tell you how it really is. Sometimes graves can be fun. Sometimes they can be interesting. And yes, sometimes it can be eerie and frightening. It was the late 1970s. I graduated high school, was working on the farm with my dad. And to get a little extra side money, my buddy Patrick and I hired out to be the grave diggers for the local Catholic church, of which we were members. The very first grave we dug was the week before Christmas. And this is in southwest Wisconsin. So it was fairly cold. Father Larry comes out to the cemetery, shows us where we need to dig the grave, gives us our picks and shovels, and we go to work. He takes off. We dig through 36 inches of frozen ground. Hard work. We finally get through the frost line down into the soft soil, and we're going at it, and Father Larry comes back, and when he comes back, he brings with him some refreshments. He had a hibachi grill, a bag of charcoal, 3 T-bone steaks, and a bottle of whiskey. So here we are, 3 guys sitting out on a bright, clear, cold winter afternoon in the cemetery, grilling steaks and drinking whiskey. Not eerie at all. That was a fun grave. The second incident happened during the summer. A standard human grave is about 6.5 feet long, about 4 feet wide, and about 6 feet deep. It has a head, a foot, and 2 sides. My buddy Patrick and I were digging, and we got down about 4 feet. And my shovel, I was working on the foot end of the grave, my shovel hit something, it goes thump, thump, thump. What is that? It's sticking out into where we needed to be digging the grave. We dug around it and finally figured out that it was a box. Handmade. It was about 2 feet long, made out of 2x6s, about 8 inches square. We shook it, and there was something inside. We opened it up. Inside was a single bone. On one end, it had a knob. On the other end, it had been cut off clean as if with a saw. Now, we do not know for a fact that it was a human bone, but what we do know is it was too big to be a dog, too small to be a cow, and it was 4 feet deep in a cemetery, and it didn't get there by accident. We didn't tell anybody. We put the cover back on the box, set it aside. When we got down to the end, we dug the grave. We were down about 6 feet. We dug a box-sized hole 2 feet deeper, put the box in it, covered it up, and I think you guys might be the first ones to hear about it since then. That grave was interesting. The third incident, I need to remind you that my name is David Bloyer. This will become relevant shortly. If you've never dug a human grave, you may not understand that once you get down deep enough, there's not enough room for 2 people in there. You wind up taking a shovel full of dirt from the guy that you're working with. So at some point, you have to take turns. This was another grave in the wintertime. We had gotten down to that point, and Patrick said, I'll take the first shift, you go wander around, do something, whatever. So I got out and just started wandering around the cemetery. Walking along between rows of headstones. It had snowed the night before, so you couldn't see on the low-lying flat grave markers, you could not see the names. I stopped at a random grave, reached down, brushed the name, brushed the snow off the headstone. I'm standing such that when I'm looking at it, I'm reading the name backwards, upside down. I'm on the back side of the grave marker. I brushed the snow off, first name D-A-V-I, D. Oh, cool, somebody named David. Then I continued to brush the snow off. Bloyer. I felt the blood run from my face. I nearly passed out. I felt like Ebenezer Scrooge. It took a couple beats for my heart to start beating again, and then I brushed the snow off the rest of the grave marker. The dates were 1940 to 1942. It wasn't until I brushed the snow off of the adjacent graves that I understood that this was the young son of my dad's brother and his wife, my Uncle Don and Aunt Gwen. I never knew that they had a son that had died. And I never knew that they had a son named David. But it kind of made sense when I came to realize that I was indeed my Aunt Gwen's favorite nephew. Now, after having heard these little stories tonight, the next time you hear the word grave, I hope you think of something fun like grilling steaks and drinking whiskey. But for me, anytime I hear that word, two things happen. I think of Ebenezer Scrooge, and I am grateful that I am still late for that grave with my name on it. Thank you.